Welcome to Global Investment Voice, your premier podcast for diving deep into the world of investment migration. Are you dreaming of a second or third passport? Then join us as we traverse the globe, exploring the ins and outs of the U.S. EB-5 immigrant investor visa, uncover the secrets of golden visas, and delve into the many residency and citizenship by investment programs. Each episode is packed with exclusive insights from top industry experts. Whether you're an investor, developer, or a visionary entrepreneur, we're here to guide you through the complexities of global investment migration. And who better to navigate this journey with than your hosts, the dynamic legal duo of this industry, Mona Shah and Rebecca Singh. Plus, hear directly from a lineup of global investment migration leaders. So, buckle up and tune in to Global Investment Voice, where your global investment journey begins and expands.
Hey, Rebecca, 5% income tax, reside in a U.S. territory, pay single-digit income tax rates. Could you imagine that?
Mona, tell me more. Where is this happening?
Well, welcome to Act 60, Puerto Rico. And we have a lot more to discuss on this.
Oh, Puerto Rico, isn't it just so beautiful there? Well, today we have Angus Beavers, who's a longtime resident, investor, and developer of Puerto Rico. And he's also a licensed realtor in New York, Connecticut, and PR. Angus, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Rebecca and Mona, for having me.
You're welcome. Angus, I'm sure people are like, what are we talking about? Single-digit income tax rates? Are you really a U.S. citizen? Are you living somewhere where the U.S. government has a hand in?
Well, the fact of the matter is there is only one residency in the entire world where you can live and actually not be subject to the IRS federal tax code. And that happens to be Puerto Rico, the territory, the U.S. territory. And the reason for that is that Puerto Rico is, because it's a territory, it's no different to move there than it would be from New York to New Jersey or Connecticut or California.
Well, that's an issue. Actually, a lot of people do ask about, it's not a state. So can we just walk over there? Do we need a visa or something?
Well, you could sail or fly, but it is, 1,200 miles off of Miami, southeast of Miami.
So you're not going to walk.
But there's no passports required. There's no customs. It is like flying into Hawaii, technically, except it's in the Caribbean. And it's 3 hours from New York and 2.5 hours from Miami. And literally, the bottom line is their tax code, you lose the ability by moving there. You just give up the right to vote on a federal level. So you can't vote for the president. You don't have a senator or a congressman representing you. Conversely, you don't get clipped by taxes. And it all goes back to the axiom which started the American Revolution against the Brits. No taxation without representation.
The Boston Tea Party.
Yeah. Puerto Rico rum party.
So this Act 60 came in very recently, 2019.
Well, it was Law 20 and Law 22 before that, but it became very renowned and was merged into Act 60 in 2019. Right after Maria, the big hurricane that everybody knows about that really devastated the island. But remarkably, and I live part-time in Connecticut, in Greenwich, and it's full of wealth advisors and hedge funds. And I talk to people around here and they have clients moving to Florida and Texas. I go, well, do you advise them about Puerto Rico? And they go, why Puerto Rico? And I'm like, well, you're not just skipping out on state taxes at 6% or 4% and going down to zero. You're skipping out on, if you're in the highest income range at 38%, you reduce your tax to 5% capital gains, 4% income tax, and dividends are zero.
Isn't it 4% capital gains and 5%?
No, it's the other way around.
Oh,
it's actually 5% capital gains and 4% income tax.
Okay, that's even better.
Well, yeah, especially if you wanted to unload your business or, you own shares in a business and you want to unload some. Yeah.
So just for a second, Angus, tell us, if you're a business owner, how is that different from being an individual and just going to live there? Do you have to have an operations which works there? Can your employees be remote? How does it work?
Well, you do have to, there's a bunch of tests. And the reality is those tests are such that you actually have to live there. People were like leaving their families and their kids in the States and moving down there by themselves. And they said, no, that's not really residency. And so you have to literally move there and you have to buy a home or you have to buy a condo. So you have to invest in real estate there. And you have to show, I think it's called the true residency test.
Bona fide test, I think.
There. Bona fide. Right.
Yeah.
So there's several, but they just don't want you to pretend you're living there because people were moving down, unloading, a lifetime worth of capital gains at 5% and then moving back to California. And now they actually have, I think, also a 2 or 3 year minimum stay. So you have to stay there for 3 years.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay. So just as out of interest, the other big thing about Puerto Rico right now is investment into real estate. Because of people moving over there, people, high net worth individuals moving here to Puerto Rico, there really isn't a lot of luxury real estate there right now, is there?
Absolutely. There is a huge dearth and it's represented or it's manifested by the prices right now. Prices in Puerto Rico, I think the recent Realtor.com magazine came out with an article saying prices are rising at a staggering rate. They were up 20% in the first quarter of 2025 after a 40% rise in 2024.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I have a funny story if you want me to relate it. Do you guys have a minute?
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
so I spent a lot of time on this very unknown island called Culebra, which is absolutely spectacular. And I get over the Big Island just to serve my clients.
I've heard of Culebra. Isn't that one a lot of businesses are out there and there's some special incentives for Culebra, right?
I mean, the entire island is a federal opportunity zone. Too.
Right.
So, and there's huge hospitality incentives. So if you move to, you build a house or you build an Airbnb business or a hotel, you could literally almost earn zero income taxes for your first 10 years of operation. And then because of the federal opportunity zone incentive, you sell it in year 10 and you don't pay capital gains. So
wow.
10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah. So sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh yeah. So I was with a client from Palm Beach and we were getting a tour of Dorado. Dorado is a Ritz-Carlton branded residence with 2 golf courses and a bunch of houses and a hotel and all the water sports. And I was with one of the owner of the Sotheby's franchise. And she pointed at a very nice house. And this is in 2023 and said, we broke all the records last year. I sold that for $12 million. And I said, congratulations. And I thought in the back of my brain, coming from New York City, that's not a lot of money. And then she said, I sold it last week for $32 million.
Wow.
So in 1 year, it went $20 million up. And that shows the lack of high-end inventory right now.
Right. But is there anything for people like us? We don't have 24 million.
A beautiful little palm tree with some fronds on the beach could do. I mean, the weather's not.
Well, Angus, we heard about the tax benefits, the luxury living out in Puerto Rico. But what else? What are some of the other benefits? Like if you have to bring your family and you have kids, schools, things like that, the education system. What are we looking at when we're in Puerto Rico?
Well, you're looking at, depending on the neighborhood, and this is probably one of the reasons, is you're looking at world-class schools in upper middle income neighborhoods. Puerto Rico has, in general, a much lower cost of living than anywhere in the United States. But along with that comes a lack of fully developed infrastructure. So you have places like there's a Swiss school called Tassie's, St. John's in San Juan. I mean, they have like their top 10% all go to Ivy or 20% go to Ivy equivalent colleges. But yeah, that's the thing. And a lot of these big developers who are coming in, the Rubin brothers from London have just invested $2 billion. Rebecca, you're from London. You know of them, don't you?
I live here now in the UK,
right.
Yes.
Well, the Rubin brothers.
She's actually originally from Brooklyn.
They're doing a 2,000-acre, private residences, and they're bringing in their own school. And I think it's a school that's based on the Etonian model from Eton. But they're doing 2,000 acres. They're putting in their own private jetway. Another group called Discovery Land, which is famous because the founders were George Clooney, the actor, and Randy Gerber, and this guy who's really the operator, Mr. Melman. And they started Casamigas Tequila. They're doing a huge, about 1,000-acre resort on the eastern side of Puerto Rico facing Culebra. And they're incorporating the old U.S. Navy base because it has a fabulous runway so private jets can fly in.
Well, George Clooney does get around. Sometime in Italy, now Puerto Rico. But Angus, we have a variety of listeners. We have people who are high net worth individuals. We have people who are just investors. We have people who just want immigration. But right now, who would you say is the ideal candidate for all of these Act 60 incentives?
Somebody who owns their own business and that can work remotely, or, so hedge funds are moving down there. VCs are moving down there. It's nicknamed, frankly, the first group that moved there because they're very in tune with what's hip is the crypto crowd. So it's called Crypto Rico is the nickname. And the big fighter who fought Tyson recently, Jake Paul, I think his name is, he lives in Dorado. And then there's other people. Larry Page, the co-founder of Google, just about 2 years ago, bought 400 acres on my island of Culebra. He actually bought his own island right off Culebra.
So you actually live there?
I'm there 40% of the time. I have been there on and off as resident 3 times in the last 30 years. And, it's no different than moving, as I said, from New York to New Jersey or Connecticut. And you just got to get your own license and, set up your own home. But the bottom line is, next time I do it, I'm going to get the Act 60 because I have to be I can't have been a resident within the last 10 years. And I'm going on 10 years this year. So I can now apply for the Act 60 dispensation.
So if somebody who's listening wants to come in to Puerto Rico, I suppose this is a question for us, Rebecca, is there any different immigration to Puerto Rico? It really isn't. It's exactly the same immigration as coming into the U.S.
Absolutely. It's, the federal, if you looked at it, it's no different than moving to Hawaii, except for it's a territory. And frankly, the EB5 they have EB5 centers there. And I think it's quite successful.
Do. And we've also done a number of projects, entrepreneurial projects, people who've done their own projects over there. They've bought a business or they've expanded a business in Puerto Rico.
Well, big regional centers also have projects out there because of the tax incentives. Yeah. So, it's becoming very popular for EB5 projects.
Right. But here's my question, though. It really suffered from the hurricane last time, back in 2019. And, global climate change and global warming is not going anywhere. Are we looking at something horrific happening there again and it being right in the path?
If you're asking me, you are as likely to get hit in Florida or South Carolina or North Carolina as you are in Puerto Rico. The insurance rates are similar.
That's that was my next question.
Okay.
Is the insurance higher?
No, and the other thing that's interesting is, frankly, if I was to do a development, I would definitely have maybe even the primary source of income would be solar or wind, and then have a backup generator and have, the link. The real problem is the utility itself.
Yeah.
It's old and it's been mismanaged, and a bunch of new Americans came in with the most recent one, Luma, and they're even worse. I think they're out of Atlanta and they haven't done any of the stuff that they were supposed to get done. So if you're developing down there, you really got to make sure, that your home or your mega development has backup plan or even works off the grid entirely.
Well, I have another big question for you. And this is, we were speaking with somebody from New Zealand just last week, actually. Mm-hmm. And one of the big issues, well, for some people, one of the big issues about moving to New Zealand was the lack of certain amenities, namely Amazon. Do you get Amazon in Puerto Rico?
Yes, you do. There's 3.5 million people. You get Amazon, you get Pizza Hut. Unfortunately, on the Big Island, I think the Walmart on Puerto Rico, I mean, there's several, but one of them is still a record breaker. I mean, it does, and Home Depot's on the island, Lowe's, all that good stuff. You'll recognize everything except for, 50% of the people speak Spanish.
Right. And how is the infrastructure, the local infrastructure? I mean, getting around and getting things done.
In my 30 years, it's been vastly improved. There's now what would be interstates that have no, stop signs or anything that go 30, 40 miles at a clip. I mean, 30 or 40 miles long without any kind of stop or hesitation or light. And you're doing 65 to 80 miles an hour.
And if somebody's interested in just, let's say, increasing tourism and hospitality.
Huge benefits for hospitality. And that's because, frankly, Puerto Rico, and I compare this to Hawaii, this is 2 years old, and they've been building a lot of very nice resorts since then. But Puerto Rico had one hotel room per 226 residents, and Hawaii has one for every 15 residents. I think Hawaii is about 1.5 million. Puerto Rico's at 3.5 million. So there's really a lack. And lately, because of a lot of the vibe and stuff of Puerto Rico, it's gotten very popular. I mean, I think it's outselling right now in terms of flights, the Dominican Republic, which has typically been the number one destination, for flights in the Caribbean. And from San Juan, which is an American hub, you can get to St. Bart's and Martinique and, Mustique and all those other places.
So you can go island hopping.
Yeah.
Yes. I spent 6 months sailing the islands just for fun with my kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Mona, I said I wanted to go to New Zealand on a work trip. Maybe we go closer to home?
Rebecca, if you were in New York, there's a 7:50 flight out of, I think it's JetBlue, it might be Delta, and you could be on Culebra by lunchtime, by 1 o'clock. But I mean, Puerto Rico's less. I mean, you could be on Puerto Rico before 11,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want one last question before we let you go. If someone is interested in purchasing property and actually making the move, how do they do this, Angus? I mean, is there specific people they reach out to? Do they find it on the internet?
I know this guy. He's really knowledgeable and quite good looking. His name is Angus Beavers. And he typically, he's very generous with his time and very knowledgeable. He's well connected. Actually, a friend of his actually wrote the Law 60. And another friend of his is the Minister of Commerce and Development. But at any rate, he knows people in Puerto Rico. He can help you. You want his number?
Well, we'll make sure it's out there on the website, Angus. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we're going to have you back to discuss more because this is a big topic. And you're right. The crypto millionaires of the world right now are looking at all of these other options.
Yeah. And like I said, American courts, American laws, American jurisdiction. Yes. You don't have to play with what happens in a lot of developing countries.
Yeah. It's a way of keeping your passport and without, giving up. We have a lot of people who think about renunciating because of tax issues, but I think, Mona, this is a great option.
It really is. Thank you, Angus.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Global Investment Voice. A huge thank you to all our listeners for tuning in and sharing this journey with us. Curious about unlocking the potential of global migration and citizenship? Make sure to visit us online at mshalaw.com and globalinvestmentvoice.com. Dive into our extensive library of podcast episodes. Stay ahead with the latest in migration news by signing up for our insider newsletter. Don't forget to connect with us on social media. Find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook to keep the conversation going. Remember, the insights shared in our podcast are for informational purposes only, so please seek tailored legal, financial, or investment advice where needed. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep investing smart and living well with Global Investment Voice. We'll see you on the next episode.